afternoon. Hope you all are doing well. Just putting the mic in. Sorry if it's a little scratchy. Okay, so as you can see, we actually are going to be using a chair today. So if you can grab a chair, any chair at home will work just fine. And if you don't happen to have a chair, maybe an ottoman or something that you can use to elevate the legs. We're going to be using that. 2 blankets, a bolster, or any extra blankets would be great for us to use, and our 2 blocks. My name is Jovon. We're going to be doing a Relax Restore class, which is a restorative type of class. And we stay in these poses between 3 to 5 minutes. And the reason why we stay in these poses is so that way we can allow our bodies to relax deeper. And it's not always the easiest because we are bringing our body into stillness right away. At least we're trying to. And when the body is still, the mind starts to wander. This is perfectly normal. It happens. Sometimes, especially when there's some type of confusion or some sort of, maybe there's a situation that you're still dealing with, something that's weighing heavy on the shoulders or maybe even on the heart. And sometimes the mind will start to wander and focus in on that. And then it's just like this endless loop of repeating this scene over and over again. And this is normal. The mind is designed this way to do that because we were designed to fight or flight or flee. We were designed to use our bodies and our minds to protect ourselves and our loved ones. But in this time, there's a lot of moments when our bodies feel like it needs to protect, it feels like it needs to fight or flee, but we don't really need to. That's why this restorative practice is so it's so effective and so meaningful for so many all over the world because it helps us tap into that parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest. So that way we can learn how to activate this nervous system during our waking hours and incorporate it in our daily lives, whether you're outside, working, or inside at home, especially inside at home. You know, some of us are not, we're probably barely just starting to adapt to staying at home, teaching your children, doing other things that were not in our regular routine. So let's get started. We're going to be working on our circulation today and getting things moving, allowing our heart, giving our heart a rest. So a lot of our legs will be elevated and things like that. As always, let's get started in a seated posture. Placing yourself on a bolster or maybe a blanket, elevating the hips. And in a nice crisscrossed position. So any way that's nice and comfortable for you. Rest your palms on top of your lap. Roll the shoulders back and down. Start to erect the spine through the crown of your head. Close your eyes. Begin to follow your breath. Soften your forehead, your eyes, and clenching the jaw. Invite this sense of relaxation into the body. Welcome this sensation as your body welcomes in the breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Noticing the in-breath, noticing the out-breath. As you begin to settle on your mat, or maybe it's a nice carpet that you're practicing on today, in the comfort of your own home, or maybe it's a nice patio or a grassy area in your backyard that you get to practice in. Welcome yourself. Welcome the sense of relaxation into the body. Begin to take a big breath in through the nose. Fill up the lungs. Open the mouth. Inhale deeply in through the nose, into the lungs. Feel the expansion in the thoracic chamber. Open the mouth. Take a big breath in. Saw it all out. Come back to the rhythm, to the natural rhythm of your breath. Today, I'd like to invite you to stay relaxed. If you might hear something in your home that's a little distracting, don't pay it any more attention than just the acknowledgement that it is a sound. And that's all it is. Come back to your breath and invite the sensation of relaxation into your body over and over again. You could even use an affirmation of I feel relaxed. Anytime you need to take a big breath in and a big breath out, clearing any stagnant energy that feels and is stuck in the body, you don't need my cue. You absolutely don't need my permission to do so. And maybe that breath sounds like this. When we saw out relief, our bodies relax more. So use that as a tool to get you in that state of mind, of feeling relaxed, being relaxed. Nothing more. Gently begin to flutter the eyes open. Don't open them all the way, just halfway. We'll come onto our hands and knees, placing any props that you may have used off to the side. There's no rush. When we move our props around, we always want to use mindfulness. Come up onto your hands and knees. If you happen to feel like you want to extend one of your legs back, from being in that cross-legged position for several minutes, you can do so. So you'll extend the right leg back. The ball of the foot is on the floor, and you can press your heel back. You can also lift the leg and just start to bend your knee, roll the ankle around. And perhaps you feel a little bit of tension release there. Do the other side as you're ready. Squaring up into a tabletop, inhale, lift your chest and drop your belly. Bittalasana, cow pose. Exhale, rounding the back. So you want to curl in. Let your head drop as the chin goes towards the chest. Inhale for your cow. So arching the back, stretching the front of the spine. Exhale, round. You do this on your own. 3 to 5 more breaths. You can always make C curves with the spine. Perhaps reach the arms out forward and dip the chest down to stretch your armpits, pectoralis major and minor, shoulders. Perhaps sinking the hips down. When you're ready, come onto the seat facing the front of your mat. We'll place one of our blankets down towards the back of the mat. Keep it flat. And have that off to the side. We're going to use one block, place that onto your right side, and slowly come onto your back. Now when you place your head down, make sure that your shoulders are on your mat or whatever it is that you're practicing on, and that your head is only on the blanket. Knees are bent. Grab a hold of your block, or if it's a blanket, nice rolled up blanket will work. You want to have it on the widest setting and the lowest level. You'll lift your hips and slide it right under the sacrum. Okay, make sure it's not the lower back. Lower back, okay, would be right here. So right where I'm patting my hands, that's the lower back. It's below that. So that way your hips are supported on the block. Take your feet a little bit wider out and knock the knees inward. So we broaden the back of the pelvic bones. It's nice and wide back there. Okay. Now, when you knock your knees inward, maybe they touch, maybe they don't. Mine actually are not touching right now. So it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong or that you can't do it. It's just respecting your body, okay? And you might have to bring your heels closer to your glutes or maybe further away. So find a position where your feet feel grounded. It doesn't feel like your feet are sliding around anywhere, because when you feel grounded in your feet, you're going to be able to let go of the tension that we hold in the psoas, in the QL, in the growing, in the quadriceps, in the hamstrings. All this gets really tense up, not only because of the stress that's accumulated, but because it's constantly working. You're sitting, you're standing, a lot of activity that you happen to be doing. Shimmy the shoulders down, and let's take the arms in a cactus shape. We'll be here for several rounds of breath. Again, 3 to 5 minutes. If you happen to be on a block and it feels too hard, switch over to a blanket. Softening your facial muscles and breathe. Take a big breath in. Heel toe your feet to hips distance. Reach your arms down by the sides and grab a hold of the block or your blanket. And what we're trying to do here is to stabilize. Rack the triceps down so that the heart kind of comes forward. One leg at a time, let's reach the legs up. Okay. So my knees are bent because it feels more comfortable that way. And you can have your knees bent as well. You can roll the ankles around a little bit. If you need to make an adjustment with the block, all you need to do is place the feet down, make any adjustments so that way you feel supported. For example, I just moved mine a tiny bit up, just a tiny bit. I'm holding onto the block just for a little bit of stability, but if you feel like you're pretty good here, you can also just take your arms down by the sides. But I personally like this one because it helps keep the shoulders down as well. You can close your eyes and breathe. If you start to feel a little bit of a tingling in the feet, you can start to roll the ankles, wiggle the toes a little bit. This is great. This is a supported Viparani Karani, so legs up. This is considered an inversion because your legs are higher than the heart. And what's happening here is that all of your blood from the tip of your toes is going down a lot. Well, it's actually circulating up towards the heart, right? Because if we were standing, it would be going up. So we're using gravity to our benefit, allowing the blood to easily travel towards the heart. And the heart doesn't have to work so hard to bring the blood from the tip of the toes all the way back up to be reoxygenated. Okay. If you've been on your feet all day, perhaps grocery shopping, some of you might be doing extra grocery shopping for relatives. So you're kind of out there a little longer than usual. Maybe you've been doing some extra cooking. Sometimes we don't realize that we spend 2 hours in the kitchen, and that means you're being on your feet for 2 hours. So I realize that this is a little bit of effort, but very good for your circulation, and that's what we're working on today. Breathe into the belly. Stay relaxed. A few more breaths. All right. Gently begin to bend the knees. Don't bring the knees in towards the chest, but just bend your knees. So you want to keep your knees stacked over the hips. Notice how the blood goes back into your feet. Just notice that sensation. Feels pretty good. Feels nice and fresh. That's new blood going into the feet. So my feet actually feel really energized right now. Extend your left leg out. Okay, let the heel drop down onto the mat. And you can let your foot flop open as well. So you might already start to feel that stretch in front of your left femur bone and hip. From here, use your hands to grab a hold of the right knee, pull the knee in, and maybe interlace the fingers be in front of the shin or behind the hamstrings. Okay, so for me, it's more comfortable behind the hamstrings. So my hands are right into that knee pit. Guide your right knee towards the right armpit, and we can cradle the thigh bone from the armpit to the breastbone, which is your sternum. Massaging the femur bone gently into the hip socket. Don't forget to breathe. As a kindly reminder, if having the block isn't comfortable at this point, you can always switch over to the rolled up blanket. Good. Releasing the right leg and gently switch with the least amount of effort. Right leg extends out, left knee comes in. Hold on to the left leg in any fashion that feels comfortable for you as you let your right foot flop open. Again, rocking gently side to side, the knee into the armpit and then towards the breastbone. All right. Let's slowly bring the feet down with the knees bent. Both knees bent here. You can use a bolster or a block to help support the knees. What we're going to do is we're going to splay the knees out and bring the soles of the feet together. So you can absolutely reach for your blanket. So you have one blanket on one side and support the outer knee. And then if you happen to have an extra blanket or a bolster, you can use the bolster on the other side. Those are options. We want to use this pose to release. I'm going to adjust my block back to its original spot. Okay. To release the psoas and all of the muscles that you feel in your hip flexors. You can use your arms down by your sides, or maybe it feels good to tee the arms out or do a cactus shape with the arms. Scan your body in this pose. If you feel a sense of your body carrying your physical gross body up from releasing down into the earth, the thing I can think of is, imagine you are on a pull-up bar and you're pulling up on the pull-up bar, and you're trying to pull yourself up, and you're trying to lead that chest into the pull-up bar, and you have this sense of lifting and fighting gravity. We actually tend to do that even when we're trying to rest and lie down. You can probably even notice you do that right before you go to bed. So if you feel that sense, that gripping sense anywhere in your body, identify that area. Take a big breath in. Send the new prana, new energy into the area. Exhale, let it go. You could put the sword down and allow your body and your mind to surrender into this relaxing, calm state of being. From here, you're going to use your hands to the outer upper thighs and help guide your knees together. Okay, I'm going to heel toe my feet out to hips distance to just bring it all together. Lift your hips gently, place the block off to your side, and slowly return the pelvic bone down, one vertebrae at a time. Take a big breath in. Our next pose will be Apanasana, so knees into the chest. You can wrap your arms around your shins, or maybe your forearms go under the knee pits and you grab opposite wrist or hook your fingers and gently rock side to side. Another option here is a happy baby. Okay, some of us like to release. There's a lot of tension that can be released in this pose. You melt the sacrum down. You can grab a hold of the feet, ankles, or behind the knees in happy baby. Let's bring the knees back into the chest. slowly come onto your side and gently press yourself up onto your seat. Take your time, no rush. Okay. If you happen to have a bolster, great. And if you don't, it's okay. We can certainly modify with our blankets. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate on how we would do this with our blankets. So we want to make sure that we have them folded in somewhat this shape. And your blankets might be bigger than mine, and that's okay. I'm going to grab another blanket just to demonstrate here. Take the short end of the blanket and roll it up. Then what we'll do is, let's see here, we're going to take this edge and recline that back. Okay, so this would be a variation of that. Okay. If you happen to have a bolster and a couple of blocks, you could even use a block under here too, by the way. That will work as well. Okay. So we have a couple of options. All right. So using my blocks and my bolster, I'm going to make a reclining position. I'm not going to have mine too high, but if you need it higher, just know that you can exchange the position of the blocks, okay? Okay, so from here, I'm going to grab a hold of one of my blankets and I'm going to make it in a square. Come onto the right hip. Switch that around. Okay, right hip. I'm going to use my blanket in between my upper inner thighs here. My heart will face the bolster. My arms will come down onto the sides as if I'm framing the bolster and blocks on the forearms. Rest down, resting your right cheek down. Okay, we want to take it easy on the twist. If you happen to want a deeper stretch, all you need to do is turn your nose the opposite way of your knees. So then you get a twist in the spine. It can be a little intense, especially if you do have some neck injuries. So take it easy, listen to your body. Okay, we always want to respect the physical body. And rest down. Begin to close your eyes, take a load off, and breathe. Slowly begin to bring your hands under the shoulder head, so you'll slide the palms down. Gently lift your head up. And come out of the twist. Good. Just pause here on your seat. You can use your squared up blanket, not use it, but place your squared up blanket off to the side. Before going on to the second side, I like to neutralize the spine, so we can rack the forearms in front of the shins and extend the spine through the crown of the head. Give it a nice stretch. We'll continue on to the second side. So on your left hip, placing your blanket in between your knees, thighs, or shins, wherever it feels comfortable for you. Okay. Let's switch this receiver around. And when you're ready, begin to rest down. If you feel like you want to take a big breath in and a big breath out, release and relax more. Slowly begin to slide your hands under the shoulder heads. Gently bring yourself up. Untwisting. Okay, being gentle here. Knees bent. Wrap your arms, or maybe the hands go underneath the hamstrings and the rack of the spine, nice and straight. Give it a nice stretch. Very nice. We get to bring our chair in. So towards the back of your mat, we will bring the chair on. So put some of these props off to the side. I'm going to lay a blanket in the front of the mat. So make sure that your chair is pretty stable and secure. One blanket will go on top of the seat of the chair. And if you don't need a blanket, perhaps the chair that you have already has a nice cushion, a soft cushion, but this is obviously, you see it's a metal chair, so having a nice cushion on top is also nice. It also gives some cushion, some height, so it's always really nice too. Smooth that out if that's what you're doing. Make sure there's no wrinkles or rolls in there. Okay. Oh, not this one. A bolster or a blanket to go underneath the pelvic bone. Okay. And then we're going to use our blanket to help with a little bit of support in the chest. It'll actually be a little roll that goes right across, okay, the sternum. Okay, so below the collarbone, maybe about 2 to 3 inches below the collarbone, okay, we can absolutely feel this sense of the sternum right here. It's the upper part of the sternum. That's where we're going to roll the blanket. Let's place our pelvic bone onto the bolster or your blanket and rest the tops of your feet. The tops of your feet don't need to be on the chair. It's just to help, okay, keep the shins lifted. So we come in at a tabletop, rest the pelvic bone down. Good. And from here, roll the blanket, place it right under there. Then your armpits will go over this roll, overlap the palms, and rest the forehead down. Okay, make any little adjustments, like I'm going to roll this other portion of the blanket down so that way I can breathe a little bit better. Okay, make any little adjustments here that you need. Okay, and then once you find just right, I'm still searching for that, so hang tight. Here we go. All right, we're in business here. Okay, and once you find that just right, you can rest your forehead down. Take a big breath in. Allow yourself to surrender. Okay, we don't want to an arch in the lower back, so if you need to take the bolster or your blanket further down towards your knees so that way you can flatten the curve, you can do that too. Okay. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw release, unhinging the jaw, and let the lower portion of your jaw just drop down. Breathe in to the belly. Relax more. Begin to lift your head up and slide your hands out to the side and then to the short ribs. Okay, so the hands will be behind the blanket that's supporting your breastbone. Then start to lift your chest up, lift your hips. So you're in a tabletop with your feet up against the chair. Crawl forward so you can release the feet. Good. And kneel back onto the heels just for a moment. Our next pose will be our final pose. Smooth that out. We're going to still use the chair. The bolster will be in front of your chair. Now, this is the thing. I know that I need a bolster for this height of chair because if I don't, my knees will not hug the edge of the chair. But maybe you're using something smaller, like a lower ottoman, and your legs, like your femur bones, are fit perfectly for the height of what you're using. So you don't have to, but know that all you need to do is just lift the pelvic bone up so that way you can rest comfortably. If you're not using a chair today, don't worry. You can just basically elevate your bolster, your blanket, so that way you can mimic the 90-degree angle in the knees so that way the legs are still elevated above the heart. Okay. This third blanket can be used to place on the belly if that's most comfortable for you, and we won't be using the blocks. So you can make sure that those are off to the side. So how to come onto the bolster is I lift the hips here, and then I bring myself a little bit closer so that way I hug. I have this type of chair to where I have to take my feet underneath the backrest. and then it doesn't really bother me anymore. Okay. So come on down to the forearms. I need to make some adjustments here. I'm going to shimmy myself closer here. Okay, I'm going to move this blanket so you can see the motion of what I'm doing. So shimmying means use your elbows into the earth, lift the chest, and feel the back of the skull. Okay, it's almost like an inchworm. Okay, good. Use that method of an inchworm, right? Little. Good. Then reach for your blanket so you can use to support your head. Okay, in any way, just make sure that you have a space for the cervical spine. So that way you support the natural curve of the cervical spine. You're not exaggerating the curve, okay? Or you're not flattening the curve, meaning that either the chin is towards the chest would be flattening it, or the chin would be up, which would be extra curve. Then you have an extra blanket here. It's always nice to place that on the belly for extra comfort. Okay. Have your elbows resting on the earth. You can certainly place your hands over the abdominals, okay, or maybe your one hand over the heart and the other one over the abdominals. Or if it feels better for you, take the arms down by the sides. Shimmy the shoulders down. Allow your body to surrender, letting gravity do its thing. Just like I mentioned in the beginning of class, giving this element of gravity permission to benefit our bodies, our minds, to keep us healthy and healthy. We want this sense of well-being in the body and the mind. We'll take one more collective breath together. Inhale deeply in through the nose. Fill up the lungs, fill up the belly, all of those capacities filled up to the very top. And as loud as you want to. Maybe with a mini smile, just feeling and enjoying the relief and release of any pressure, any tension. Your breath in its own natural rhythm. All of your facial muscles are soft. Your feet and hands are loose and relaxed. This is it. Shavasana. Let your body rest. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You can stay here for as long as you like. Perhaps this is the only time that you have to sit with yourself in silence and in peace. Taking your time to come back into your body. Remember not to get up right away. Roll off to the side. Stay for a few more breaths. I'd like to thank you and share my gratitude to each and every one of you. You are still sharing this space with us. Virtually, together, we will make it through. And I thank you so much for all of your support, your contributions to keep this studio alive and going. And I speak on behalf of all the teachers that are filming and streaming live. We absolutely appreciate it, and it gives us such good energy when we hear from you guys, when you tag us, when you give us a shout out. Thank you for staying connected. Namaste.